The polls are broken. The stakes are unprecedented. I'm Glynis Mahar.
I'm Brian Derrick. And the vibes this week.
Breaking news out of the nation's capital. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled former President Donald Trump is not immune from the criminal case involving his efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election.
And the details on the bipartisan border deal hashed out in the Senate are out. And the political showdown has been unhinged.
Congress doesn't have to do anything to secure our southern border. Why would I help Joe Biden?
We'll also give you an update on the presidential nomination contests in South Carolina and Nevada, a quick stop in our group chat, and we'll send you off with a good vibe. Let's get into it. Breaking news.
Breaking news. The vibes this week are breaking news as of today.
The vibes this week are breaking, literally. We just got some news in about Donald Trump. What did we find out, Glynis?
Well, we found out the federal appeals court rules that Donald Trump does not, I repeat, does not have presidential immunity in his election case, which is major.
Yeah, it is big news. This is a really big deal. So this is a major update in one of the two ongoing federal criminal cases against Trump. One is about Mar-a-Lago. One is about him trying to stay in power after he lost his reelection. And this is about the election interference one. And so
correct.
3-judge panel in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, so the D.C. court, all agreed unanimously that President Trump did not have immunity and does not have immunity in doing the illegal, unconstitutional things that he did to try to stay in power.
Try to steal the election. It was a 57-page opinion, and they wrote, this is a quote that's sticking with me. For the purpose of this criminal case, former President Trump has become Citizen Trump with all of the defenses of any other criminal defendant.
Get her, Jade. That is a legal smackdown.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like to be backhanded by the court.
And they continue, Brian. But any executive immunity that may have protected him while he served as president no longer protects him against this prosecution.
Boom. And so basically what they're saying is he absolutely can be charged with crimes that he committed, that he is not immune in the way that his defense had claimed he was. If you remember, we talked about this on the podcast a couple of weeks ago when his lawyers claimed that the president could order a SEAL team to assassinate a political opponent and he still could not be charged with a crime. So
that's right.
They were taking this like super extreme view of immunity and basically saying because the Senate did not convict him after he was impeached the second time, that they can't charge him with anything. And the court is saying, heck no, you do not have immunity and jail. Straight to jail, not literally.
The court has made it completely clear the law applies equally to everyone. So whether you're the former president or not, you're a citizen and you're going to be held to the court of law. So more to come there. And just a note to all the listeners, there are many, 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 many cases in which Donald Trump is involved. It's overwhelming, but we'll be keeping you posted here as things develop on all of his cases.
Many.
But really the ones that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should always remind people we are not lawyers. I did talk to a lawyer just to get the skinny on like what was really in.
You got the tea from a lawyer. You're not a lawyer, but you got the tea.
I have lawyers in like different areas on speed dial. Like when the Supreme Court does something crazy, there's somebody that I call. When something happens in like a criminal situation, there's somebody that I call. And so, yeah, I do just want to reiterate that the word that was used to me to describe this opinion was like eviscerated. This court eviscerated the Trump team and their claims of immunity. And I think went out of their way, according to my sources, went out of their way to cite Supreme Court justices at previous decisions in this opinion. So in this 57-page ruling that we just got, they cited Kavanaugh and Gorsuch. And so they're saying, like, according to you guys, what you guys have said is that when it comes to executive authority and the powers of the office, that these people are not kings, that these people do not have superpowers, and that they cannot break the law or violate the Constitution in order to do things like try and stay in power.
That's right. They said, I'm going to quote them one more time because I do really, really love this opinion. Presidential immunity against federal indictment would mean that, as to the president, the Congress could not legislate, the executive could not prosecute, and the judiciary could not review. So if they ruled in any other way, this would completely dismantle democracy as we know it.
Totally.
So
what happens next?
Well, Trump is what? He plans to ask the Court of Appeals to appeal.
Right. This was an opinion from 3 judges on the U.S. Court of Appeals in D.C. He's going to ask the full court. I believe he's going to pursue an en banc decision there is what that's called.
En banc? I'm sorry. Can we just take a beat? I know you're not a lawyer, but what's an en banc?
En banc? Okay. Again, not a lawyer.
It sounds like a hot new club I'd want to go to. Are you going to en banc tonight?
I think there are 11 total judges that could hear this case. And so if 3 of them decide in a way that you don't like, you can appeal to have the other ones also hear the case. And then they all decide together if they grant your appeal.
I see.
And so that would be an intermediary step before this goes to the Supreme Court. And again, Trump's strategy here is not to win.
Mm-hmm.
It is to delay until it's too close to the election or even after the election when he thinks that he can again advance this idea of immunity that I'm the president, you can't do anything to me. And so he has 90 days to appeal this, and he's probably going to use all 90, and we might not have updates on this specific case for you for a while.
Right. But you could watch an entire season of 90 Day Fiancé in the interim. So yeah, watch this space. More to come. Okay. Brian, let's talk about a really frustrating topic.
Oh boy.
The border deal. The aforementioned deal that we talked about last pod, where we had no idea what was within this legislation, it was revealed on Sunday. The big reveal happened.
Move
and
that
what
bus.
happened immediately? Literally, it was a move that bus.
All right, now I'm just picturing the clip of that woman. We got to roll. We got to bring that clip in.
Open your eyes and see your new room.
What the hell to the no?
So good. So we now have the legislative text of the border deal. Remember, this is what Democrats and Republicans have been working on together for months in the Senate.
Months.
To figure out what a compromise could look like.
Exactly. And I just want to make one note for the audience. The reason why we did not know, no one knew except for the bipartisan group that was, working on this bill, is because the minute someone else outside of this working group knew about what was in the bill, they would immediately try to hijack it. So no one knew. Everyone was waiting with bated breath, and here we are.
Totally. And before we dive into what's in it, let's just cover the high-level dynamics at play, right? So you have Democrats and Republicans in the Senate who have come to the table and ironed out a deal that includes, as we're going to talk about, a lot of conservative wish list policies. This is what they've been pushing for all along. Now you have the House, even before they have heard what's in it, already saying it's DOA and that they will not vote for it. And that is being explicitly pushed by President Trump. And he is saying that we can't do a border deal before the election, essentially because it would be bad for his chances.
Donald.
Exactly, because it's good politics for him to have chaos at the border.
Brian, confirm for me, the whole reason that this bill not only includes border security, it also includes Ukraine and Israel, financial packages, is because Republicans demanded that the border be included in any bill in which we gave aid to Israel or Ukraine. So they got what they wanted. They got this 3-tiered bill that included border security, and they're saying, actually, no, because it's not gonna help Donald Trump, so we don't want it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There was a push and conversation at one point to do a supplemental, as it's known. So this additional funding for Ukraine, Israel, et cetera, just as a standalone. And Republicans demanded that the border be part of it and now are running away from that, which is a common theme as we're seeing throughout this entire thing. And they're really being more transparent about it than usual.
Right.
You have people like Lankford, one of the lead negotiators in the Senate, a Republican from Oklahoma, coming out and saying the only reason Republicans are opposing this is because of the election cycle and not because of the contents of the deal. So they're telling on themselves,
Totally. They're saying the quiet part out loud. And it's really, really, really frustrating. It's really frustrating. We have a solution here, and it's not the best solution necessarily, but the politics at play are infuriating. Tara McGowan, who is the founder and publisher of Courier, tweeted, it's the do nothing Republicans, that they're doing nothing.
Ooh, turn the tables on them because it's accurate, because that's the tea. So let's talk about what's in it. Yeah.
Yeah, give me the cliff notes because you already texted them and I need them again. It's just too dense.
It really is a huge bill and there are a lot of pieces to it. So let's cover the important parts. I think that the through line for me is that it includes upwards of $20 billion for additional shelters, transportation for deportation, 4,000 asylum officers to process asylum claims more quickly. It includes more border agents and more funding for anti-fentanyl trafficking efforts. There are also some policy changes in it. One thing that's getting a lot of the attention is like what we're going to call a border fail-safe. And so...
Right. I was reading about this. It's like a trigger, correct?
Exactly. And what that means is that if border officials encounter more than 5,000 people in a day on average within a week, or 8,500 individuals on any individual day, then that initiates this trigger.
Okay. What's, again, super, super frustrating to me is that we being this bipartisan committee or, bipartisan group of lawmakers has presented a bill and Republicans are just putting their foot down and saying it's dead on arrival. It should be so frustrating for every single American, especially Americans in border states or in states where, Southern governors are sending migrants. We're looking towards having some solutions here. And because it's an election year, we're dealing with a stalemate on this issue. Do your job.
Totally. Yeah. And it's easy to get sort of bogged down in the intricacies of it. And that's their job, right? Is to figure out exactly how to write this bill to make it as effective as possible. But the baseline is we're seeing huge numbers of people present themselves mostly with like asylum claims at the border. And we don't have the infrastructure, the funding, the people, the system in place to process those claims. And so what this bill is pushing towards is putting a system in place that can actually on the merits assess who has a valid asylum claim and will be let into the United States and granted work authorization so that they can support themselves and any family that they might be with if they meet the criteria for an asylum claim. And if they do not, then it does not grant them authorization to remain in the United States and it deports them and it sends them back to where they had traveled from, which of course, I think the other part of this that we're not addressing right now is the legal immigration route, which this bill also speaks to. And I think that Democrats in general are trying to create a pathway for legal immigration to say, like, if you follow these processes, we are going to bring people into the country and that's good for our culture and our economy and for all of these things. And like, that's true, right? There's plenty of research to show that. But at the same time, Republicans are not only trying to block out all illegal immigration and asylum claims, which are perfectly legal, they are also trying to shut down the legal immigration as well.
Right. Yeah, I want to touch on that for a second because we're seeing some Republican responses to this bill. And my impression is that it's wildly xenophobic. It's, very white supremacist. And more people should be talking about it. They're saying all of these things out loud. And I think we should all be shocked that this is how they view America, which is in fact a multiracial democracy. But they're scared of it. And it only helps Trump's chances at winning. And he knows that. And that's why he's really trying to leverage this bill in this political moment. I don't know if you saw some of the stuff Trump's been saying about the border, which has just been like wild conspiracy theories.
Bananas.
I believe we're going to have a terrorist attack 100%. 100%. During my term, I had no terrorist attacks. You know that, right? I know every one of the leaders of the countries for the most part. The presidents, the dictators, I know them all. I know the kings, the queens, I know them all. It makes sense that they're taking people out and sending them up in caravans to the United States. And it's not just South America. It's from Africa, from Asia, from all over the world. They're sending people, for the most part, that they don't want. And they're putting them into caravans. I know that because they tried it with me, but I turned back the caravans. I had all sorts of bans on people from certain countries. I had bans all over the place.
I mean, he is the ban guy. People should know that, right? Whether it was the Muslim ban or the trans ban or his next abortion ban, like he loves to ban stuff. It's just a huge violation of our constitutional rights every time.
Totally.
When I think of Trump being divisive, I think of how he talks about immigration more than anything else. it's very intentional and it's extremely and unnecessarily inflammatory. When he says things like immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country, he's like directly trying to pull, as you're saying, white supremacists, like far right, alt-right, white nationalist people into his coalition, which is gross for all kinds of reasons. It's always wild to me that there are people on the right who want to call liberals divisive for calling people in by like naming the thing and being like, yes, we're for LGBT people and people of color.
Totally.
And, like all these different things. And they think that it's divisive to even like say that, right?
Totally.
Whereas grouping entire nationalities and different ethnicities and people coming from very different experiences, walks of life, different religions, different races, all into this category of like, they're here for your jobs and your daughters, and like just like this really gross implication
Really gross.
is obviously like as divisive as it gets.
Fear-mongering works, and he's doing it, and he's going to keep going for it. And the political circumstances that we're in right now with the border are only fueling his fire and giving him more talking points, and he's going to keep going.
Right. And so now he's on to the CCP and trying to mix up his China talking points with his border talking points.
I'm told that the Chinese are paying $35,000 a head, $50,000 a head to come to the southern border. They're paying the drug cartels this money. The number of Chinese nationals, and they are military-aged men, you're right, up 1,100% year over year. Are they being directed by the Communist Party to come here?
I believe so.
Very reminiscent of the PSYOP Fox News segment where they're like,
believe so.
We have no evidence of this whatsoever, but we're going to state it as a question and then we're going to start talking about it like it's a fact.
Totally. It is absolutely unhinged. It really is. He also looks horrible. Not that that matters, but he looks awful. And also he just makes things up all the time. We're seeing that with the deal, you know, people he supported, Republicans he supported. He goes back and says they're awful people for being a part of this border bill. One example of this is Senator Langford. He's a senator from Oklahoma, a well-known conservative senator. Trump endorsed him in 2022 and said that he was super, super strong on the border. So Donald Trump, the receipts on Donald Trump and how he feels about Senator Langford are, love the guy. He's super strong on the border. He's my man. Cut to.
Well, just to correct the record, I did not endorse Senator Langford. I didn't do it. He ran, and I did not endorse him.
The receipts on a Truth Social post in 2022, September of, Trump said many, many things of like pure love and admiration for Langford. James Langford is strong on the border, tough on crime, and very smart on the economy. It is my great honor to give James Langford my complete and total endorsement. Donald Trump, get out of here. Get out of here. You are full of, you know what?
Yes, we do.
The National Border Patrol Council president, Brandon Judd, he came out in favor of the bill.
The whole union.
The whole union. And here's Fox's Steve Doocy, challenging Tom Emmer about the bill.
I know a lot of Republicans are against it because Donald Trump is against it. But here's the problem for you guys. The Border Patrol union came out and the acting CBP chief both came out and said it's not perfect, but this is the best thing we've seen in decades. So are Republicans going to say that the Border Patrol union and the acting CBP chief are wrong?
Well, look, they can have their perspective, Steve, and we've got a lot of respect.
It's their jobs, Tom.
Corner them.
100%. Yeah, they're getting taken to task for real. It's indefensible. So to close it out, the Senate is wasting no time in bringing this to a vote. Chuck Schumer has said that today, when you are listening to this podcast, there will be a vote on this bill. So as of the time that we're recording, we are expecting a vote on Wednesday, and we do not know that it will pass the Senate. We do not know how many Republicans will come out in favor of it. Even if it does pass the Senate right now, it looks like the House that's the actual problem. So we'll see if it gets sent over to the House to be honestly sacrificed at the altar of Donald Trump, like a lot of our values and dignity.
South Carolina. Okay, so the breaking news there is that Joe Biden.
Don't call that breaking news.
Dominated. I know. I was being facetious.
The slow movie.
Biden dominated Yeah, the slow moving primary of South Carolina, Joe Biden, he dominated with 96% of the vote. There was a lot of discourse talking about South Carolina and Black Democrats in South Carolina. Why do you think that there was so much media discourse? Is it just people want to write stories about non-starters just to get people clicking and paying attention? Is it polling? Is it...
Well,
what
I think
is
that the
it?
media has learned the wrong lesson, and that is that anything about the presidential is more important than the most important thing about something happening further down ballot. And that's like a hill that I will die on, is that the media just wants to make the absolute most of a presidential election because it's really good for clicks for them. There is a narrative here around, like, polling has showed that in particular non-white voters, the Black community especially, have like had pretty dismal numbers for Biden, that his approval has dropped in those communities, that his support and who plans to vote for him and turn out in November has dropped in these communities. And so because South Carolina was that origin story for Biden in 2020, and the Black vote in South Carolina is what gave him the juice to get the nomination, I think that there has been like this repeat narrative of, oh, how things have changed in 4 years. And then suddenly he puts up 96% of the vote in the primary, showing that he actually has a lot more strength there than people expected. So it's undercutting that narrative.
I will say that, Black Democrats tend to save America when the time comes. But this really, I think, was a message testing opportunity for Democrats. Okay, can we talk about Nevada?
Let's talk about Nevada.
So there's a primary and a caucus happening. That's kind of confusing.
Nevada used to have a caucus and now they have a primary, and they were like, that's not confusing enough. Let's have both. And so now they're going to have both. So basically what's happening is Nevada used to have a caucus, and then after 2020, they switched and they passed a law in 2021 to switch to a primary. Primaries are widely agreed to be more accessible. You don't have to stand there for like hours at a time. You walk in, you vote, you leave. And so they switched, but the Republican Party stays mad and they're like, no, we're still going to have a caucus. And so essentially the Republican Party is hosting both a caucus where Trump is running to win all of the delegates in the state, and there is a primary that is being hosted by the state, because that's now part of state law, where there are no delegates up for grabs, and Nikki Haley is the only like mainstream candidate running. And so Nikki Haley is guaranteed to win the Nevada primary, and Trump is guaranteed to win the Nevada caucus. He will get all of the delegates. It's a meaningless victory for her, but at least she'll be able to say she won something.
Yeah. Cool. Good for her. It's giving. Okay, Brian, it's giving. We're going to talk about Nancy Mace.
This bill keeps the border wide open. There are so many loopholes in this bill, it'll make your head spin. And any Republican that supports it supports open borders, because it's going to allow Secretary Mayorkas to have full discretion on who comes in above that 5,000 limit. It lowers the standard for those that are seeking asylum. And look, the American people are tired of being an ATM machine for the illegal aliens that are coming across our border every single day. And the more that I read language in this bill, the more frustrated I get with it, because it's not what we're being sold.
I think we're all trying to figure out this bill. Have you read all 370 pages of this bill?
We are working through it. It's not good for the country.
Well, they say exactly
frankly.
the opposite. That's why I'm asking.
Brian Is Giving didn't do the required reading and is doing a presentation.
It's giving, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's lies.
Yeah.
It's probably lies.
It's also giving, like, babe, you're the ATM. You're taking our taxpayer salary and you're doing whatever you want with it. She's definitely getting hair and makeup. That's for sure.
Who are you? A press secretary in the Trump administration? Like, truly, just nothing she said has any relationship to the truth or reality of the legislation whatsoever. And so she's very much there to do a political hit job on a piece of legislation that Trump has let her loose on to go sink.
But she's not even doing it well. Like,
no.
You know what I would love to see? A celebrity death match, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace. Claymation, baby.
I think that Nancy Mace would destroy her.
Oh,
Honestly.
for sure. Even though Marjorie Taylor Greene and her like CrossFit videos,
I'm not interested in the CrossFit videos.
absolutely
I'm sorry.
unhinged.
But do you know who's going to destroy Nancy Mace is Kevin McCarthy, because she voted to oust him, and he's now made it his entire mission in life. He retired. Imagine if someone literally was so obsessed with seeking revenge on you that they were like, I have to retire. I have to leave my job so that I can full-time focus on ruining your life.
So I can effectively compose my burn book on Nancy Mace. I need to retire.
Exactly. That's literally what happened. And she's,
oh my God.
I would be scared if I were her.
Well, Nancy, I'm sure you're not listening to Vibes Only, but if you are, you heard it here first. Kevin McCarthy is coming for you.
Absolutely.
I want to apologize publicly for being offline for the week and not being involved in our group chat. I did send one thing. I literally had an ounce of service on a glacier. And what did I send you? The Lance Bass, Marianne Williamson Instagram Live. Is Lance Bass okay? Question mark. And I sent that.
We're both here.
Williamson, welcome to our TikTok Live, Marianne.
Thank you, Lance, for doing this with me.
And the answer is absolutely not. So yes, we did have Lance Bass is officially Team Marianne and hosted Instagram Live, TikTok Live, whatever, all the lives with the Marianne Williamson team, which felt very out of left field for me.
It did. Me too. And that's why I felt so compelled to touch base with my political touchstones to check on the health and well-being of Lance Bass.
Wait, you have to cut this dead air out. I'm looking up. Is Bye 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 an NSYNC song or a Backstreet Boys song?
Oh my God. Devin, do not leave this out. Bye 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 is an NSYNC song. It is so insane to me that you don't know pop music. Speaking of pop music.
I do. I'm sorry that I'm like
sorry, you're what?
I'm a Warped Tour kid.
So am I. Actually, mom and dad, if you're listening, you know I did this, but I did forge my dad's signature in like high school to get out of school to go to the Warped Tour. Sorry.
Medical emergency.
No, yeah, I like had a filling or something. I don't know. But speaking of pop music, and not just pop, all music, the Grammys were this past weekend. I did my group chats, my pop culture chats were blowing up with Grammys. Women dominated, which is really nice to see. Miley won her first Grammy. She won two, actually. Kylie Minogue won a Grammy. I love Kylie. Joni Mitchell performed. It was beautiful. SZA, one of my favorite artists, her album blew my mind.
Same.
She performed. Anything else popping off in your chats?
Yeah, there's been a lot of lesbians on the internet this week.
Wait, I saw this on TikTok.
Some serious lesbian drama. This straight woman went into the Cubby Hole, which is this tiny little lesbian bar.
Tiny bar.
In the West Village.
Yeah.
And brought her straight, I don't know if he's like her boyfriend or her friend or something. And I think that somebody was just like, yo, like, what's the deal?
Friday night, I went to my first lesbian bar. I was about to go home early, but then my friend who's a lesbian came over to the bar at the restaurant we were at and said, I'm gonna go to this bar, do you wanna come? And I was like, absolutely, why not? We got there and I was having so much fun. Everyone was so nice. The music was all like Renee rap and I was living my best life. Until one of our guy friends wanted to meet up with us and he comes into the bar for quite literally 2 minutes. Literally wanted to come in and say hello and leave. Girl approaches him pretty soon after he walks in and goes, what are you doing here?
So that video is actually about me. I'm that lesbian. So I just wanted to provide some context on what happened from my perspective. So I was at Cubby Hole, been going to this bar for 8 years since I moved to New York. I actually met my wife there. I was waiting in the bathroom line, minding my own business, and there was a dude standing in front of the bathroom. I tapped him on his shoulder. I was like, excuse me, you know, you're kind of in the way, whatever. I was not trying to start conflict, anything like that. He turns around. He seemed a little bit grumpy. So I was like, okay, dude, are you even here with anyone? Like, what are you doing in this bar? And he points to his friend, a girl who seems pretty queer to me. Not the girl who made that other video. And she's like, he's with me. I'm like, okay, cool. I turn around, continue to wait in line, really had to pee. And then this guy comes to me and he goes, well, if I wasn't here with someone, would that be a problem? And I say, absolutely. Like, yes, it would be a problem.
How do you feel? I'm a straight person. So how do you feel about straight people in gay bars? Is that a problem?
I don't feel good about you in gay bars. Other straight people is fine.
LOL.
You definitely need to get that permission slip signed by your dad before attending for sure. No, of course I've brought girlfriends to gay bars and stuff before, but I will say that there are way more male dominated gay bars than there are bars that are cater to lesbians.
Right.
They're like very few and far between. And so I do relate. It resonates that like there's literally limited square footage here and people don't go. It's like a Marie's Crisis situation. Like people don't go because it's full. And so like every person is taking up somebody else's space. And if all straight people just decided to start going to Cubbyhole, it would not exist as a lesbian bar anymore.
Cubbyhole would not be a thing. Yeah.
Totally. It's not like a policy, right? No one's saying no straight people are allowed here, but I think that it's sort of like a respect kind of vibe of like,
respect the protocol.
Respect the intention of the space and like let some ladies meet each other, you know, if that's what they're trying to do. So yeah, I'm rooting for all lesbians, of course.
Me too. Vibes Only is rooting for all lesbians. That is our official
policy of the pod.
There is some drama. This is important to me as a RuPaul's Drag Race stan between Bob the drag queen and Maddie Morphosis, who's from season 14, who Bob made fun of Maddie's wig and it spiraled from there because then Maddie did a diss track against Bob.
No.
Okay.
Get your facts straight. If you're going to come into this, Maddie went on the pit stop and read Bob out of the blue and had Bob's name in her mouth.
I wish I could have done like a reverse, a musical girl group writing stuff. I like writing stuff.
You could do what Bob the drag queen does. Sometimes she will release her own verse of these songs.
I think it's corny.
And then Bob does a diss track to Maddie first and is like,
okay, dude, get the body bag, toe tag it. Imagine a drag queen getting dragged by a dragon. So, bro, if you want to go, let's go. I'll take a man down, and it's on no homo. Pin so right, I could be the bard. Wig so bad, the hairline is hard.
Which was very good. I listened.
It was wonderful. I mean, I'm a huge Bob fan. And then Maddie responds with her own diss track. And the complicating layer here for non-Drag Race fans is that Maddie is the only straight male drag queen to ever participate in RuPaul's Drag Race, the show. And so that added a whole layer of identity politics to these diss tracks that was really interesting. Some solid verses.
Look that up. And if you're not watching RuPaul's Drag Race, you should watch it.
And that was the group chat this week. Glennis, let's send them out on a good vibe, but let's make Fox News do it for us.
The 353,000, that's how many jobs the economy added in January. That number completely obliterates the 180,000 expected, and the unemployment rate stayed down, 3.7%. It's pretty close to a historic low.
Now, I know many of my conservative friends are trying to drill holes in this report. But you know what, folks? It is what it is. It's a very strong report.
I mean, you've got the Dow up now 106 points, the S&P gaining as well, and all it needs is 3 points, and here we are, S&P up about 22 points at the moment. We are climbing and climbing.
So, I mean, the Biden team can say, well, if things are so bad, how come the stock market's on a roll?
The economy is receding in importance among the voters because it's good. And the messaging from the RNC has been way off base.
Yeah. Interesting.
It is what it is. Fox News says it is what it is. We have to deal with how good the economy is, guys.
Thanks to Dems Might, that online creator who does some really fun pro-democratic messaging online. That is a good vibe. That music, rock and roll, baby. America, we got jobs here. We got jobs.
Thank you guys for joining us this week. Those are all the vibes for the week.
Those are the vibes.
Vibes Only is a production of Courier, a civic media company that protects and strengthens our democracy through credible, fact-based journalism and seeks to create a more informed, engaged, and representative America. Vibes Only is produced by Devin Maroney, with support from Courier's Kyle Tharp, R.C. DeMezzo, and Daniel Strasburger. Tara McGowan is founder and publisher of Courier.